What's up, y'all? Welcome to Two Brothers and a Shot of Milk. Chris is out, but we are here. I'm Lawrence. You got Jack. You got Rich. We are here, and we're going to talk about. We're talking about Megan
M3GAN.
or Megan. Megan, stop, please.
It's definitely M3GAN. Come on now.
Y'all don't know where that's from? Key and Peele. Megan.
Yeah.
Megan. Gosh, come on. We're
That's actually
talking
a really good
about.
impression there.
Vegan's my jam. I want to see a parody where Jordan Peele does this as Megan, but it's like a sex doll that's AI. It is Megan.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right, let me read this synopsis. We'll give you our spoiler-free thoughts, and then we'll jump into spoiler territory. A robotics engineer at a toy company builds a lifelike doll that begins to take on a life of its own. Megan. Sorry, I'm Megan. I'll start, man. I enjoyed the heck out of this movie. This movie to me was like the best version of whatever this could be. Like a doll coming to life and haunting you. We saw it with a Child's Play, and I feel like this movie is probably better than every Child's Play movie, with the exception of Part 1, including the reboot. I dug Megan.
I mean, it was all right. I'm gonna give it I will call this a Child's Play mixed with Bratz mixed with a little bit of Terminator.
Yes.
Yeah, a little bit of
yes.
Nice shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, sir. I just got to get more light.
Show us your S.
Look at my S.
So Lawrence, for those of you listening, not watching, Lawrence is wearing a Superman hoodie, and it looks good.
Oh, thank
got
you,
some
sir.
multiverse colors going on.
Yes.
I enjoyed Megan, but I liked it the first time I saw it when it was called Child's Play.
True. I ain't nothing about it. True. Let's get into the spoiler territory. We're about to do our recap, so be warned. Yo, this movie opens up like all horror movie, thriller type movies open up with a jump freaking scare. We're in the car with this little girl and her parents, and she has this. It's supposed to be like a Furby or something.
Yeah, something like kind of Furby.
Yeah,
robotic version of it.
She has a robotic version that you can control. But it opens up with this amazing promo campaign of this kind of a doll, and I loved it because it set the tone. It let you know, like, we're having fun here. We're not taking ourselves too seriously in this movie. We're poking fun, and then we see this doll that you can literally feed and it will poop. Because kids like that stuff.
You do.
I guess they like to clean up fake poop. And they have this doll, and the parents are stuck on a freaking snowy road, and they're not used to driving on that road, and it's two they can't see, and freaking truck, bam, hits them. Big first jump scare. Boom. Freaking sad. Sad as hell. Then we see Gemma, who's working in this robotics department, and she's like tasked to make a brand new, cheaper version of what they're creating. Because like everywhere else, your competitor comes out with the same thing and charges less. That blue magic, man, that American gangster. We just gonna call it, that blue magic, baby. And then, but she has this thing she's working on. This weirdly Westworld anatomically correct doll that I don't think anybody would want in their house. We were trained to not want things like that.
You gotta like get that thing out of here.
There must not have been a child play in this universe, because if there was, nobody's wanting that doll.
Yeah,
and it blows up, yo. And then, but Gemma takes in her freaking daughter. You guys can jump in.
It blows up for the stupidest reason. This guy
needs to be fired.
Put in the cooling chip essentially, and just blew up $100,000 in front of everybody essentially.
And still has a job, and is still part of her team.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, right?
I'm like, well, he's obviously fired, right?
You're only gonna make that mistake once,
and you're done.
And just context, they weren't even supposed to be working on it,
right?
So they were secretly making this and blowing $100,000 away.
Yeah,
for this thing.
Yeah.
And
And the movie would have started twice as fast if she didn't have a negligent piece of horse poop on her squad. Because it would have
Well,
worked for the guy that owned or ran the company or was the president. And he would have said, yeah, let's get this thing going.
Yeah.
But it
But I
didn't.
feel like they needed that, so it's kind of like a rush element. So she forgot to like add certain like fail safes in it. Because I feel like, listen, a major fail safe is you don't harm people.
yeah, like
That
Yeah,
should
they
be
kind
in
of jumped
hello.
it.
every
And
robot
like
code.
anyone who's ever been hip to Skynet, you'd think that'd be like the first thing you
There's
imprint in a
obviously
robot.
not Terminator 2 Judgment Day in this world.
Like, right? Like, we're gonna hook this up to the internet. Is what you're doing? It's ever evolving. No,
This piece of AI is going to learn its host and continue to learn it and be able to think on its own. Great idea, right?
Well, that was
what can go wrong.
That was smart on their point. As a writer creating their script, what they gave us in that moment was that the engineers were never actually going to be able to code that kind of coding in order to give her that kind of conscious behavior.
Right.
And so they gave that task to the robot itself to create the code.
Right.
Which is why they literally tell us that in the script. You would never able to do that. That's why I did it.
No, and I thought that was pretty brilliant. The little girl comes to live with her aunt and sees what she's working on and pretty much uses her niece, who she has no real relationship with. We never even really see Gemma process the fact that her sister died.
Yeah,
like she's so caught up in her work and might be a sociopath, possibly, that she's not able to emotionally be there for her niece. And this is why I love the movie. It did more than it had to do. This movie showed us grief, and as a parent, the temptation to have something to parent for you so you can have your life, and the temptation to want that there and to watch, and then to watch it eventually parent better than you. And then we see that in the film. We see her deal with like Megan's replacing you. I thought that was really smart from a writing standpoint. Like, that didn't have to be in here. It could have just been child's play. But that's the element of child's play that's not there. It's not just the doll that comes to life. It's like your inability to be here for her created this vacuum.
Well,
and then her attachment to it.
And that scene, the second scene where they're pitching the robot to the higher ups.
Yes.
And the girl breaks down because she's dealing with the grief and loss of her parents. And then what Megan does in that scene, that's where this film really gets good for me. Those moments where the story does have some depth to it, and the acting and the performances are actually really good for a movie of this genre and style. Otherwise, it really is just kind of another child's play, Ex Machina, Terminator kind of thing.
Which would have been fine. But the fact that they put these elements in there, and the idea that Megan isn't this AI that wants to be real. That's why it's killing its sole purpose to be independent. She's like, no, I'm doing all this because this little girl.
Except for at the end where she's like, you ungrateful.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
she angry now.
But so yes. So basically, yes, she uses her niece and the board's all behind it. And like you said, Rich, I think you're right. It was smart to have that thing messed up in the beginning, because there probably would have been more fail safes put in place. This actually is just a working sample. It's not supposed to be in your home yet.
If it didn't blow up in the beginning, it would have never got paired to the girl, because it would have been approved or disapproved by the boss right there.
And by the time, and if it didn't blow up in the beginning, they probably would have had time to work on it. Right. Like, it was in this girl, it was bonded with this child before you guys worked through any of the things you would have worked through.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But you see Gemma allow this to happen, not just because she's ambitious, but because she doesn't know how to mother this girl. She used it as a way to you do it.
Well, but it was also a way of her helping the kid cope with the grief, right? Because they bonded on the moment where the kid walked in there and saw the old school, which was also very high-tech robot.
That she made in college.
Power gloves.
Yeah.
You knew that was going to come back. You know what that reminded me of? There was a movie
with Hugh
Real Steel.
Jackman. Real
No,
Steel.
no,
Real Steel.
no.
Oh,
Even
no?
further than that. It was
Oh, I think I know. It's like in the
it was a
80s, right?
yeah, it was a clown. It was a clown character, but the guy was
Oh,
a
FX.
FX. Yes,
Right?
it reminded me of FX because in FX the guy has this clown mannequin that he controls with like
Yeah, it's
hands.
like a bodysuit type
I
thing.
never saw that. That movie,
Exactly.
every
Never
time it
saw
was on,
that?
every time it was on, it just looked too weird for me. I was like, this thing looks weird. I
That's
just
how he
couldn't.
beat. That's how he basically beats the end guy. So the second we
Yeah.
saw her put this power suits on, I thought, "Oh, FX." I
Yeah,
guess that dates me, but I was like, "All right, that's going to come back, and that's going to be the other Terminator fighting the Terminator at the end of the movie." So
Yes.
there was nothing unexpected about this film.
Yeah.
But but
except the
again,
emotional
except for the emotional
parts.
Yeah. The
element,
emotional
kinda,
part was that was like, okay, they got something here. But
It
yeah,
the rest
hit.
of it, I was like, I know what's going on. I
Yeah,
know exactly how this is going to end.
but then, yo, let me tell you something. When Megan now is out in the wild with her, and they're living her life with the girl, and that little girl gets attacked by a dog, and we see Megan also get attacked by the dog, next door
yep,
dog, and then Megan like kills said dog, all to protect the girl,
yep,
Yeah.
all to protect the little girl, and then that freaking bully kid,
That
The
was
bully kid was
bullying her,
he was a
escalation,
straight up psycho. Like what?
yeah,
psychopath,
that bully kid was actually the most one-dimensional character in the script.
very, but he had to
The
be.
neighbor was actually pretty one-dimensional too.
The
Yeah.
bully kid
The way
had to
she
be
was
one
depicted.
dimensional because you
Kinda so was the boss, but his motivations.
the bully kid had to be one dimensional
I
because
go
I
down the
think,
hole.
let me say this one more. The bully kid had to be one dimensional because still watching kids die on screen isn't something that anyone should ever see. But
Right.
if you put
True.
any more humanity into that boy,
No, and
it
they
would,
and they put him in a like he was gonna rape the mannequin kinda
yeah.
Yeah, it
power
was weird.
position over her. You're like,
You
there's no way,
you
regardless of
almost
age, that
you almost had to do that, or else him
yeah.
getting hit by that truck would not have felt the way they
But it's
wanted you to
also a
feel.
kid. It's an image of a kid killing a kid, so that's a little more okay.
A robot killing a kid, which is
But it
never
looks like a
okay.
kid. A kid bot.
um And then yeah, Megan is like, yo, I'm setting this course, and then freaking Gemma's realizing the attachment's too strong. Not because any things that Megan are doing are suspicious, but it's really this her freaking niece's attachment to Megan that's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
this is too much.
But
And
that was
then
also what's so nice about was the progression of the violence. Like it was so in Megan's core programming that, of course, when we saw what the dog did, there's no way we didn't uh, identify that Megan's doing the right thing. She's
right,
doing exactly what she's supposed to do. And then the kid obviously hits her, beats the other person, and starts to rape the dummy. So you're like, all
you
right,
gotta
he's got to.
go.
Mm.
And so the neighbor was a natural progression. Where you're
Right.
like, "Well, she's the next threat, and she's actually being threatening."
Which
Yeah.
and this is what I enjoyed at the end when Megan has Gemma. Megan's goal is not to kill her and get rid of her. We will parent her together.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like in a stereotypical film, I'm gonna kill you so I can have her all to myself. That was not Megan's plan until Gemma
Yeah,
tried to hurt her. And
I think
Megan,
there is a problem with the third act of this film, though. For me, that's where the film kind of when she started killing the boss and like doing some of the other stuff and blew up the building, and you're like,
why did she
this is
kill the
where
boss again?
she grabbed the
Well,
paper
why?
cutter that
No,
was
no, no. I
randomly in the middle of the hallway.
don't know why. I think she just did it just to do it.
Just did it to
There
do it.
really
Yeah,
was no reason for him to die.
exactly. And why
Oh
she was
no,
running.
no. I think I know why. I
Why?
think I do. She was killing like all the people that would be responsible for her showing up, right? Like she cut ties with the people that had control over her, so she can like
Ah,
mother this girl best.
I
If there
guess.
are,
Yeah.
if this corporation is gone, if the guy does die,
Yeah.
and he got murdered because she set it up like he got murdered, and the guy unlived. Can't say that word online. The guy unlived himself.
Is that really that's the thing?
Yeah,
It's
you
the thing.
can't
You'll get
say
flagged.
delete it. Say
Oh, I didn't
delete.
know
He
that.
self deleted.
Yes.
So yeah, and then but at the end, Megan in any other stereotypical film, she would have tried to kill the aunt and take her place. But here it's like, no, we'll work together. She needs us. You're focused on your work. That's what you're good at. You do that, and I'll be her mother. I'll do that. And it wasn't until Gemma like tried to like hurt her. Don't try to hurt her. But let me go backwards. This is when the movie for me hit the height of amazing proportions.
Okay.
She started dancing for no reason, and I loved it. I don't know
That
why
was
she
the
started.
hype?
I don't know why she started dancing, Rich. I
In the
had to
hallway.
rewind. I had to rewind it and go, why did she just get it? But she got it, and I'm like, what an amazing, ridiculous choice that was.
Man.
Yeah.
My thing was I like how they showed the dependence of technology for young kids or kids in general, and honestly for people. Because I've
Yeah.
seen videos of kids throwing tantrums when you take like their Xbox away or their PlayStation
Yeah.
or their iPad. Like, and that's what she did pretty much when she tried to take M3GAN away. Like she, pretty much attacked her.
But
Yeah.
she also took away the only coping mechanism she gave her. Like
Yep.
if
True.
she was there for her, it might have
Yeah.
been a different response. But it's like you allowed you allowed this thing to help me work through my grief, and now you're taking it away.
Yeah. And
Well,
and
it's
you
also
felt that
why
you felt that was going to come when she gave her the iPad at the beginning. She was like, "There's no screen time," because
Mhm.
her
Oh
parents
yeah.
set that up at the beginning. It was like, okay, time to put that down.
Mhm.
And yeah, so you kind of felt that that's where that was going to go.
And the psychiatrist talking to Gemma saying like
Oh,
she's
that's another one-dimensional character. There
Yeah.
was actually a
wait,
lot of one-dimensional
she
side
was
characters.
one dimensional, but in the second act, she was great because she was like, you're letting her tuck her in. You're letting the doll
Yeah.
do the things like that was pretty strong.
But
for
she
me.
didn't need to come on as she felt almost I'm talking about the psychiatrist in her opening scene
Yeah, that was
felt
a bit much.
almost
Yeah.
villainish. And you're
Yeah.
like, we don't need it. There's enough emotional drama in the scene where we don't need her to be depicted that way right off a jump.
She felt like Child Protective Services. Not saying that every CPS worker is like this, but it felt like they come in to investigate whether this is a safe place for the child versus I'm helping you create a safe environment.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
but
And
she wasn't CPS. She was
supposed to be helping them
just a
create
child's.
environment.
Now she was there to observe whether or not the new mom was gonna be able to mother appropriately, but
But she was there
it
to
just
help give
it
tool.
was
Like
it was it was spoon fed conflict though.
it was unnecessary.
It was unnecessary.
You know what
Yeah.
else is unnecessary? Opening up them toys, man.
Oh man,
Oh,
I love that part because every geek was like, don't open that.
I was just cringing, boy. I was like,
And she
no.
opened
But that
it.
also didn't make sense to me. It's like if someone came into my environment and it's my home, I don't care who they are. I would just it's a non-thing thing. That one stays in a box. It's collectible. It's
But
okay. You don't understand it.
But the reason why it works here, and it does, it's part of the conflict that's not necessary, is that Gemma is so guilty and so neglectful. That's why she's willing to open it. She knows she's whack.
But
That's
then,
why.
but she also didn't play it off. It wasn't captured in a way. I don't know whether that's directorial or performance, where it's captured in a way where we already know from the two scenes earlier that these are not toys and they matter to you, so that when you open it, you don't have to overly emote to let me know that it's a bad thing for you, right? You would naturally, as a human, want to cover that, especially if you're doing it in front of someone. You're not going to open a box angrily. Fine, let's just open it. It's fine. We can play with it. You'd be like, no, you'd hide it. You'd hide that better.
But to me, I'm not saying it was executed well. It worked because I think this character lacks those social skills.
Yes.
She doesn't deal with humans. Like she doesn't.
Yeah.
She isn't. We're artists. Like we do a podcast where we talk to each other. Like she deals with numbers. She doesn't have the facilities
Circuit boards.
Yeah,
I get that in the script, but I didn't really get that in the performance so much.
I'm not saying it was executed well.
I think as an actress, she really pops off the camera. She pops off the page in a way where she's very inviting and she's a good listener. You can tell that she was a good listener.
Yeah.
Well,
It was a
but this
forced
is what's
moment.
interesting because her character is probably not a good listener. And that was the conflict. That was a disconnect for me because her as an actress, I saw her really taking the kid in.
Yeah.
But her on paper seemed like there
She
wanted
shouldn't
to
be
be.
she should not be taking the kid in.
Yeah, I mean, other than you give me a prop and I'm looking at my phone, that is a clear visual indication that I've got a block. But every time she focused on the actress, there was such a.
But I guess that's the hard part. That's the hard actor's work in this film.
Yeah.
You don't want to be stereotypically disconnected because she's
Right.
still your niece and your sister still died. You're still human, but I need to be disconnected enough for the story to work. It's like it's almost like
It's a
I give
balance.
you I give you different versions of every take and you guys figure out what you want because it can be either. It can be everything.
Mm-hmm.
But when she danced though.
Yeah. Yeah, the hallway was nice, but I didn't really appreciate the running like a dog animal in the forest thing. Other than the fact that I
was
got
cool with that.
maybe you're just trying to do it to really freak the kid out.
I thought that
Give her that.
She certainly wasn't running faster. You
But I
don't
think
run
that-
fast. As a human, you don't run faster when you run like a dog. You just don't.
No, but all
That's
fours
hard.
you run faster. So maybe instead of like giving her
If
super speed,
if you're an animal that runs on all fours, yes, you run faster. If you're a
she
biped
ran
and you-
faster. She ran
I mean,
faster though.
This was a robot. People may not run as fast as dogs on all fours, but this is a robot. Like I feel like she would have ran
She
fast
would
no
use
matter
her
how
limbs.
she
She's
did
like,
it.
I got 4 limbs. I can use them.
I give it a pass. That's
So the dance though.
what Lawrence is obsessing about is there's a scene. The owner of the company is looking for M3GAN as everything's starting to hit the fan and this big event's supposed to happen. He's like, where is this robot? She's supposed to be on stage. Can't find her anywhere. And he turns the corner and there she is at the far end of the hallway, just standing stationary. And he's like, what are you doing here? And without saying a word, she breaks
Just starts
into
getting it. Just starts
smooth.
getting it.
And it is
Weird.
effectively creepy. And and then she starts walking forward, busts off the paper cutter arm, and that dude's face his performance is priceless though, by the way. He was great.
He's like he went through every stage of confusion, then fear, then what's
just running.
What are you doing?
And how big was that hallway? Oh my god. Like how many turns are in that building?
A lot of turns. Yeah. And I read what the directors had to say about the dance. I just need to know why this choice. Where the heck did this come from? And I don't think they had one. I think they were like, it was a great way for her to distract him before she killed him. I'm like, she could have killed him with that.
That had nothing to do with distraction.
Y'all are crazy.
To freak him out.
I think they also like, this is gonna go viral. Like, TikTok is gonna do this. If this movie's successful, we're gonna do this dance. You can say
the way I read the moment though was, and you had seen it in M3GAN's character, the robot's character, is there were little moments where she would mess with a person because she was aware of sarcasm, she was aware of these other ways we interact with people, and so and it's not the first time we saw her specifically do something that would throw a person off or jar them.
On purpose.
So when she broke into the dance, the way I read it was it's the most human. She is enjoying messing with the guy and getting him real off balance. Not as like a distraction, but because I'm gonna kill you and I know I'm gonna do it.
She was built to interpret behavior.
Yes.
And then do things to make you feel. She was built to make you feel good, but she's built to make you feel.
But you also know that she had access to anything that's ever been accessible throughout time, because we know that when she's exposed to the concept of death, she just does a really quick data search via the internet, which is she's connected to, and suddenly she understands all the elements and facets of it. So clearly she's seen every horror movie that's ever been done, or read every book that's ever been written.
She wasn't programmed to know how to play the piano. She learned how to play the piano through just taking in data. And you're right.
And then made the choice to sit in the dark and play it.
Because she knows that's going to freak you out.
Yeah.
She did think you're right because she would be like, Jen would be like, Megan, don't do this, and she would go, but why
You
not?
sure?
And that
You
was so
sure?
freaky. Like her just tilting her head and asking, "Are you sure?"
The best moment for me was when Gemma said, "Megan, shut off, power down," and she goes, "Okay, but do we really want to do that right now?" And you're like, "What?"
Now, see, and
Yeah.
Jack, to me, I know we said child's play. We've seen this before, but those are also the scary. They're not big scary moments, but those are the moments that make me lean in. Like
Yes, of
that is
course.
interesting.
Yeah, she's
I want
because
more of
that
that.
that also makes you wonder how long has she actually had that option, and she's just been faking like she's powered down.
I think she probably powered down once. It
Right.
was never really powered down again.
I think the first time she powered down was because they also had that accident inside the lab where she kind of like short circuited
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
after the first one when they
yeah.
kind of like hooking her up. So I think that's kind of messed with that
Well, we know
option.
she wasn't powered down in one of the early scenes where she was sitting at the kitchen table and she said power down, and then the woman gave her attention to the kid, and we saw Megan's eyes kind of look up for a second. So we knew
Mhm.
she wasn't powering down on that scene.
We saw
Think-
when the dog attacked her,
Yeah.
sparks start to go in her head. And I
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah,
is
but
that the thing?
that never really played out.
Right. I was wondering if that was the thing that made her like the fail-safe switch broke or
Yeah.
something. But
Right.
they never leaned into it.
Which I thought would have been actually I think they might have wanted to lean more into that because that's your plausible deniability factor in there, right? It's a hat in a hat. We've seen that in how many movies where the
Right.
robot got dinged and now I'm gonna kill you.
But I think their thing is like she wasn't created to kill. She shouldn't have that ability. Not realizing they created this freaking processor that can make its own changes
Right.
as it's
It
going
was updating.
because you gave it the one goal is take care of this child,
Right.
which I guess does make the end kind of weird. She
It
should
doesn't
not be
make
able to kill her.
right. Regardless of how angry she gets towards the kid, yeah, I agree. And that's why I said there's problems with the third act because even if she wanted to kill the kid, her own self-preservation should have
Yeah.
never trumped her primary protocol, which was care for the kid. So
Right.
there's a weird thing. If she wanted
They
to
should
kill
have
the
saved that
second,
line that she gave to the aunt, where she was like, I know I can't kill you because if I kill you, that messes everything up. But you could be paralyzed. She should have gave that to the little
she
girl.
should have gave that to the girl.
Oh.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
agree.
kill you, but I can make it so I can easily take care of you.
Right. I absolutely agree. That would have made way more sense because then she would have been the eternal caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
that's what I'm
can't.
saying. I felt like the third act was rushed, or they needed more explosions, or they wanted to amp up the horror theme of
Had to
it,
get
and they
into the
just kind of
fight.
yeah. Sometimes you lose a little bit of the logic of the story in that third act.
Which to me is like because the writer, I think she killed it, and I felt like the fact that we have what we have is probably them fighting to keep what we have in.
Yeah,
They might have had the ending that we're talking about, but the studio's like, no,
yeah.
we need two robots fighting it. Like, give us. And she's like, it's a deeper story, and they're like,
You know what's really funny, Lawrence? Uh, you're the only one who's going to know what I'm talking about between the two of you, and anyone who's all 13 of you watching this video or listening to the podcast. Peter, my buddy
mm-hmm,
Peter,
mm-hmm.
wrote a script like 2 years ago that I read, and I'm not kidding, is literally beat for beat Megan. And I was telling him the same thing when I read it a couple years ago. I was like, man, I don't know about this third act where you have these two robots eventually have to battle it out, and it's kind of this very similar story. And he was like, but that's how these Hollywood movies kind of always resolve themselves. And if you go the more indie film, heartfelt storytelling route, you're probably going to get redirected to have the big battle scene anyway. And so it's like, yeah, I understood where he was coming from, but it was like, you got this real heartfelt story that just happens to be about freaking robots become sentient, and doing the
Mm-hmm.
moral right thing and stuff. But does it always lead to a showdown in Hollywood?
Yeah. It's like every Marvel film is going to have lasers in the sky or something. It's like, It's a thing, and
Thing.
and this could have easily not had it, but you still would have needed. You would have needed something. It couldn't
Yeah.
just be a conversation in the credits roll.
Mm.
You needed
Yeah,
something.
Yeah. The question is how you flip it. And I think the sad thing is ultimately the easy choice was made. The robot goes feral and you have to put it down. Where I think the more interesting problem that the writer and the director could have tried to have solved was how can the robot do that without betraying its one code that was actually imprinted, protect the
Right.
girl at all cost.
Right.
And I think that if they had stayed true to that and still figured a way how to end their film, it would have been a more interesting, ultimately the piece is about loss, overcoming loss, grief, and the Gemma and what's the girl's name?
I forget the little one's name.
Yeah, look that up. But those are the two characters that have an arc.
Katie.
Katie.
Those are the two characters that have an arc that need to change, and they both do by the end of it. You see, Gemma learns how to be. Yeah. What was that?
That's my alarm. Sorry about that.
Yes.
Awesome. Unacceptable.
Yeah.
I will say that the ending that I wanted was Katie allows M3GAN to paralyze her aunt.
Ooh.
And it ends with M3GAN and Katie like hand in hand.
That would have been a more interesting.
That would have been a darker ending, yeah.
Because at the end of the day, right or wrong, M3GAN was the one that was there for her when her mother and father died. At the end of the day, M3GAN, and I would have had to, man, it's easy to direct a film after you've watched it. So I would have had her go, so you're making all these choices this whole time? And M3GAN says, yep. So you chose to keep my most precious story. So you chose to sing to me at night to fall asleep. That wasn't because they made you. That was your choice. And M3GAN goes, yeah. Easy answer. Easy answer. Between you and my aunt, easy freaking answer. You're telling me you chose to take care of me, not you weren't made to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The only problem with paralyzing her, she would still need a guardian.
M3GAN can speak as her. We can weaken that Bernie's this, Rich. we can that Bernie's this whole thing.
Now you're making up some other stuff, right?
Yeah,
that was my only thing because I thought that might have been a route they would have went. They would have paralyzed the girl. Then as I was sitting there, I'm like, no, they can't paralyze her because they would need her to actually be there to talk to like officials and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
To like be.
It opens up a whole nother can of worms, but at least it would have stayed true to the primary directive,
right?
M3GAN pulled off the kid's ear in the woods and let him get hit by a car, and then the police found the ear, and it was like it went from an accident to a homicide. She's not great at this. Like they already set up like her plan may not be great, but it's good enough for a 10-year-old girl to think it's good, and that's all we need. 10-year-old girl thinks, yeah, paralyze her and take her place. Great. Obviously, y'all didn't think this through, but that's okay. Right. You just got to convince the child it's a good idea.
I got to say, segue, that police officer's cameo might have been the best cameo in the whole film.
He came in like, so kid died. What did he say? He said like it was a joke.
Everything about it was like,
he was oh, yeah, it was a homicide.
Yeah. But that's not what I'm even talking about, No, I'm not thinking he was hysterical.
He had one scene and he came in ready to play.
It was great. He was like not even a very good cop, but he might have been a good cop. He's clearly the detective, but
it was clear to me through his performance, it was clear to me that this town does not have that many homicides. You don't do this all the time. And
but
now
he was so chill about it. He was very nonchalant about the whole thing.
It's a sociopath. It's a bunch of sociopaths in this film. Who
I mean, I want to say, look, when you're coming from the son of a detective, you see a lot, and just police officers in general. They see a lot of stuff, and sometimes they'll be sitting there in the middle of a crime scene, or there's a scene that involves death, and I'm just like, Yeah. So what are we doing for lunch?
So
And
then
they'll
maybe
literally be talking about lunch.
he's dealt with a lot of homicides. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
he
not
does.
that this is some small town.
Being a detective, you kind of have to mentally overcome the gruesomeness that you see, and like,
Yeah,
You
that's
see that in Grey's Anatomy. The surgeons are working on this guy, blood spurting out there. Yeah, they're talking about lunch. It's like, this is just a
yeah,
Tuesday.
like
You're right, Rich.
yeah, like even ERs and whatnot. Like you got to find a way to kind of overcome that so you can continue doing your job, or it's going to eat you up, and you end up quitting
You
your job.
can't, you're built different.
Yeah.
You're
What
right.
was weird about it is he's talking about the kid who accidentally died, but then he so specifically drops the information about the piece of the ear being found, so it was clearly a murder, but he didn't have an ulterior motive for saying it. You know, he wasn't angling. He just kind of said it. It was a very funny scene.
He was a bad guy.
Because she was like,
Are you
So-
suggesting that I'm?
that,
Oh no,
that,
no,
that
no.
they're
He just-
connected. He's like, no. And it's a homicide now because we found a piece of the ear. Anyway,
right. He was like-
this is fun. Not to labor this any longer, guys. What do you give this thing, man? What do you rate this thing?
I mean, it was
give it-
mid for me. I'm giving it a 5.
I was gonna say 5 or 6.
Man,
So let me go 5.5.
this is probably like, I want to. It's a 7 within the world it lives in just the genre at large. It's a 6.5 for me.
Did you say 6.5?
I say 6.5. But like within killer doll genre, it's a strong 7 for me.
He just likes to dance. Anyway.
The dance, Rich, I've watched it so many times online. I'm like, why does she dance? Why was she so good? And then Aubrey, what's her name from Parks and Rec? Aubrey Dollar, Aubrey, you know the actress. They did a whole thing on SNL where M3GAN doing a dance. This thing has become, it's a thing now, Rich.
Yeah, that was a thing. That was like one of their marketing plays. They were like hiring people to dress up as her and like dance in the theaters.
We
like,
should
I think in
dance.
A football game,
The three of us, 3 brothers and a shot of milk, should do the M3GAN, and then we could do the Wednesday dance, and then we go viral.
White guys don't typically have good rhythm.
That makes it even more viral. There it is, Jack. I love it. You're on YouTube right now.
So collectively, we've given it a 5.6 repeating. So we can either round that to a 6 or call it a 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah.
That sucks, guys. It's better than the 5.5. Y'all are tripping.
Well, Chris might have given it like a 10. I mean,
Chris did give... this thing was so great.
A 5.5. You guys are tripping. This thing was, for what it was, it's better than just average. Just better than just above average.
It just became predictable, man.
It's like a 5.56. It is like a 6. It's like a 6, you know, but it's like well, you know, like I Am Legend, you know, it's not a great film.
I Am Legend.
Will Smith was great.
No, wait, hold the freak. I Am Legend's a 7 minimum. You crazy?
That's like, okay, then it's 6, 7. It's in that ball. It's not better than a 7 though. Will Smith is better than a 7 in that movie.
He's in it by himself. He's the movie.
Like, so he is.
That's true.
Wait. I don't know what's going on here. Jack, you crazy. You should have.
Will Smith was better than that movie.
But he was. Look, fine. 5.5.
That's fair.
It's hard. Y'all obviously wasn't moved by that dance like I was. Obviously.
Definitely not.
Rich was not.
No.
Hang on. Rich, you want to give it a 6 for Lawrence?
No, I'm sticking with the 5. It was mid.
It's a 5.5, Lawrence. I tried, man. I tried.
You guys suck. But anyways, that's our show. Let us know what you think. Is M3GAN 5 or 6? And do you want to see Jordan Peele do the sequel where he plays M3GAN, etc.?
Yes.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, you can catch us. We got a podcast. Hit the link in the description below. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We are dropping content. Hit the playlist. We got reviews. We got unboxing. We got all kinds of stuff here. Check it out. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We'll see you same bat time.
Same bad channel.
Where's
Peace.
Chris?
Yeah, I got it.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to Three Brothers and a Shot of Milk. We're talking